Well, the Cold War then continued, and I think it continued because, in fact, it's very functional for the two superpowers. And if you look at the incidents of the Cold War, you can see exactly how it works. I mean, when we want to invade some country or subvert its government, let's say overthrow the government of Guatemala in 1954, the government can't come to the American people and say, look, there's a democratic government in Guatemala which is carrying out New Deal measures and trying to improve the lot of poor peasants and giving them, unused land that's owned by the United Fruit Company, and therefore we have to overthrow it and put in a gang of monsters who are going to destroy the unions and carry out genocide. You can't say that. So what we say, that's in fact roughly what was happening. What we have to say is, well, we have to defend ourselves from a Russian attack. And I say Guatemala is an outpost of international communism, and the communists are brutal as they are, and so on. And if we don't stop them there, they're going to be in New York before you know it. And that's sufficient to frighten the population, and then we can overthrow the government of Guatemala. And they can count on the New York Times and the media to give that story, which they did. The press loyally reported the government propaganda story for many years. In fact, even today, they've barely unearthed the truth about it. Given that they can count on, and that's a typical Cold War incident. Same with the Russians. I mean, when the Russians invaded Hungary 2 years later, they didn't tell their population, look, there's a socialist revolution going on in Hungary, and there are workers' councils taking over industry, therefore we have to move in and destroy it. Can't say that, So what they said is, well, Hungary's being taken over by fascists who are working for the CIA, and pretty soon they're going to be in Moscow, so we have to stop it. And the population believed it. Now, and of course the press reported it, because in the Soviet Union they do it by order of the state. That's a different system than ours. Here they do it by moral cowardice and class interest. There they do it by threat of state violence. But the effects are very similar, and that's the way the Cold War has been going. You pick any incident and you'll find out this is exactly the way it worked.